Okay.
Say hi, Candace.
Hi!
Who's your favorite teacher there at school?
Kate.
Teacher Kate?
And remember you helped me do pocket?
Yes, I helped you on one of the parent days.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I can't do it.
You don't really have fun making puzzles. Look at Candace. Do you like making puzzles?
Yeah!
What is that? Probably your favorite thing to do at school,
Yeah.
or play outside?
Ride your bike.
Yeah! Can I have it, Mom?
You want to show her the picture?
Yeah, it's all my friends. And me, look at these are my friends.
What's your favorite color, Wyatt?
Green.
Green.
Where? I like Scooby-Doo and John Dairy. Scooby-Doo, where are you? Got some work to do today. And then he said, I want you there.
Can you tell?
Scooby-Doo, where are you? I've got some work to do now. I want you.
Neuroblastoma is a cancer of the neurons, and so it can happen anywhere in your body. It's a solid tumor. Generally, patients with neuroblastoma will present a little later because it usually presents further back in your abdomen, and so it's not always, you can't always palpate it or feel it when it's initially starting. And so we have a lot of patients who will present with stage 4 neuroblastoma, which is the highest stage. Neuroblastoma tends to still be one of our trickier cancers to cure. Neuroblastoma tends to have a higher relapse rate if you don't use aggressive chemotherapy, especially in the stage 3 and stage 4. So those are one of the diseases that we are able to give them chemotherapy, harvest their stem cells, and give them back in hopes that we can give them higher doses of chemotherapy and then rescue them with their own cells. It tends to, again, not present right away. You don't see the signs and symptoms of neuroblastoma until it a lot of times has spread. Stage 1 is generally just surgery. Stage 2 would be surgery with some chemotherapy. Stage 3 and 4 tend to be surgical biopsy, because most of the time at the beginning you can't take all the neuroblastoma out because it wraps around all the organs in the abdomen or can be in their orbital areas. It's about 4 rounds of chemotherapy, so about 5 months, and then a stem cell where you get significant amounts of chemotherapy, enough that if you didn't do a stem cell rescue that the patient would die. They do the stem cell rescue, and now there are some new therapies coming out, some antibody therapies, where there are specific antibodies against the neuroblastoma that's given in the hospital, and a lot of kids will have respiratory reactions to that, and so that you have to monitor those patients usually in the ICU. We probably see our patients a little more frequently than adults are seen, so that's probably the main difference. Most children are treated on Children's Oncology Group protocols. We follow very specifically treatments for leukemia or treatments for brain tumors are essentially the same across the country. So if you presented to somewhere in Denver, you'd be presented with the same sort of protocol or treatment regimen that we do here. I think the other thing is that there's more supportive care. So we do a lot with antiemetics, or to help prevent people from vomiting. We do a lot with pain and palliative care. So we work with a pain team to make sure that we're doing the best that we can for our kids. Some patients will require more inpatient care, and some patients will require more outpatient care. Chemotherapy drugs differ between the groups as well. Our patients with solid tumors spend more time in the outpatient clinic, getting maybe 5 days of chemo in a row, and then go home versus being hospitalized. For patients with leukemia, treatment usually is about 2.5 to 3 years. For patients with brain tumors, that varies. That can be anywhere from surgery alone to maybe 3 to 4 years of treatment on and off. And for patients who have solid tumors, in general, it tends to be about 6 months to a year. For a general leukemia patient, relapse is about 15%. If you have a stage 4 neuroblastoma, that's about a 50% relapse rate. So that's higher. Brain tumors tend to be anywhere from 10 to 25%, and there are some that are as high as 90%. So those are patients where your tumor is unresectable. A lot of the research is around the antibodies and antibody therapy to see if we can get patients into remission, then given this antibody therapy, hopefully eliminating any neuroblastoma that we can't see via the microscope. There is always research going on about what part of the chromosome abnormalities in the neuroblastoma, what part of those may make you at higher risk or lower risk, so that we can either increase your therapy or potentially decrease your therapy based on your chromosomes of the neuroblastoma itself, not your body's chromosomes. Always, I mean, if there's more money, donate to things. I mean, I think you can have more people working, but also I think that each patient is different, so even if we find one thing that we think will work because they have a certain chromosomes, not every patient responds the same. And so that can be difficult because you think you have something that will work against a certain chromosome or abnormality, but it doesn't always work in everybody. So even when people find things that may work in the majority of people, it doesn't work in everybody. So trying to find what else there is making a difference in those patients is important. Working with children can be difficult at times, but I definitely enjoy my job. A lot of people ask, how can you do that? And I would say that it is actually a privilege to work with children with cancer because they give you so much insight into really what is important in life. A lot of times I go away from work thinking, wow, my life is so easy because these kids with cancer just go through so much.
Tears come streaming down your face. When you lose something you can't replace. When you love someone but it goes to waste. Could it be worse? Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you.
On August 1st of 2008, we brought him in for a well check, and the doctor found what she called an extra organ. We were very nervous. It was a Friday that we had the well check. That Saturday, August 2nd, we were concerned because he had a fever. We didn't know what was going on, what was in his abdomen. We brought him to emergency room, and that was where we learned that he had cancer. And this was the first time we heard the word cancer, and that it was likely neuroblastoma. We got to Children's, and they told us, hey, don't worry, we took the tumor out. Then we found out there was more cells in his bone marrow. The prognosis got worse and worse, and then they finally said, you know, we can't treat him here at Children's. You're going to have to go to the University of Minnesota or Mayo Clinic. We later found out that less than 5% of the kids with his diagnosis make it 1 year. June of 2010, we started noticing him not using his arm, and we were hopeful that he had had a stroke, because that wouldn't have been a big deal, but he had relapsed. His neuroblastoma had relapsed into his brain. That day was probably one of the toughest days. And they came into the room and said, is your wife going to be back? We'd like to talk to you together. And I decided to have them just talk to me. They got me comfortable, and they told us at that point that at the very best case scenario, he had 6 months to live. And there was nothing they could do other than palliative care. His staging was stage 4 and McAndle 5. I asked our oncologist when we first met them, if I said, oh, so is that about the size of a racquetball? He said, no, more the size of a tennis ball. And Wyatt was just a little 4-month-old baby, so it was a pretty big chunk. And we found out shortly after his surgery that the tumor was as bad as it could get. you can think of a cancer treatment, he's probably had it. Radiation, antibody, chemotherapy, and a bone marrow transplant. 2 weeks in the hospital over 14 months, and 22 days of that time he was on life support, full life support, ventilator, completely unconscious with narcotics, and blood draws every 4 hours. It's high dose chemo or obliterative chemotherapy. We literally obliterate all of his ability to produce bone marrow, and then we give him his own bone marrow back. So he had what was called an autologous or auto transplant. He got his own bone marrow back after the intense chemo. That treatment was really hard on him. He spent 22 days on life support after that event, so that was the most intense. But pretty much if you've heard of it, he's had it. It's phase 1 FDA trial. He's the 10th kid on the protocol, and they use his own cells to attack the neuroblastoma by altering his cells, and then so they've taken his cells, they alter his cells, they grow a bunch. Here what we do is we attach that antibody to his cells, and then we grow a bunch of those. Now there's these white cells that recognize the marker. You know, whenever you're in this world, you recognize lots of people have it worse. And we're just grateful that we're here with Wyatt, obviously, to have him with us. So the traveling, yeah, we've gone to New York a lot of times. We've been to Penn State, and we'll be in Louisville for 5 months. We'll be separated as a family. Eileen and Wyatt will move out. I'll be here with Savannah and Eric.
Hello world, hope you're listening.
He's always throwing curveballs at us. We've had lots of trips to the emergency room. And so I guess it all depends on your perspective. We've had so many friends who have lost their kids that yes, his treatment is going extremely well. He's here. I think we learned about Mary through the listserv, through another nonprofit, and met Mary on another fact-finding neuroblastoma trip where we learned about cancer. And then we found out that they were neighbors of ours, and I think that would have been in kind of early 2009 when we got involved with Alex's Lemonade Stand. We're at our first lemonade stand in 2009. I would say, you know, we want to be involved with any research-driven organization who's going to help pediatric cancer.
Anything we can do to help other families and other kids, you know, either help them, you know, with treatments or help them make it easier on them. Since we're going through the same thing, we know what it's like.
As they paint it to be for the sons, all the daughters stop to take.
She was diagnosed at 11 months of age. She started getting sick around 9 months of age, although I know she was born with cancer. She was stage 4 neuroblastoma. She's gone through 8 rounds of chemotherapy, and she's had multiple surgeries, and she is now considered no evidence of disease. Kate is fantastic. She seems like a normal, average 6-year-old, and so far, no sign of long-term effects of the cancer or the disease, and she's doing great. Well, when Kate was going through treatment, we ate out at Applebee's, and the kids' drinks came in little cups that had Alex's Lemonade Stand logos all over them. And I had heard of Alex's Lemonade Stand, but I hadn't gotten involved yet, so I went home and Googled it, and I couldn't believe it that Alex Scott, who was the founder of Alex's Lemonade Stand, had neuroblastoma, same cancer as Kate. And so obviously I got keenly interested in it, and through being associated with Mary Holloway, kind of got involved in the lemonade stand that she holds at Mall of America, and then doing the lemon runs. Oh, I fundraise because there is a serious lack of funding that goes towards pediatric cancer research. So the amount of funding that goes into breast cancer and colon cancer and lung cancer, there's not a bad penny there. But on average, less than a tenth of what goes into adult cancers goes into pediatric cancers. It's actually mind-boggling, and that's because pediatric cancer is considered rare. There are not as many patients, so there's no incentive for government or drug companies to put money towards pediatric cancer. So it's largely left up to parents and concerned parties to actually raise the money to find new cures and treatments for our kids.
I was 13 months old when I was diagnosed with neuroblastoma. I wanted to get involved because I realized how lucky I am to be here today, and after meeting kids going through cancer treatment, I realized it's not fair for kids to have to do that, especially for kids to not make it. Every kid should have the right to grow up and have a childhood. I want to help the fight against cancer by raising enough money and awareness to find a cure. When I was about 10 years old, my mom and I found out about ALSF Lemonade Stand, and I was like, there's no way we're not doing this. So from then on, we've been raising money every year for childhood cancer research. We chose ALSF Lemonade Stand because it raises money for all childhood cancers, and we thought it really had the potential to grow, and especially Alex had the same cancer I had, so it really made an impact on our family because we know what each other went through, and so we wanted to help her out as well.
Molly was diagnosed with stage 3 high-risk neuroblastoma on September, I believe, 11th, 1993, and she was exactly 13 months old. She had chemo for 5 months. She had surgery to remove the tumor. She had radiation. She had chemo again, and then she had a second half of her treatment, which was called consolidation. And it was supposed to be a bone marrow transplant, but we decided to go off the protocol because it was too hard for her. So we did the other side of the protocol, and she had 3 more months of high-dose chemo. So altogether, she had 9 chemos. She did cisrenoic acid, which is like retin-A, for 6 months after, really high dose, so it made all of her skin peel, and then that was it. Probably about 18 months. The chemo was about 9 months, and then she'd recover from each chemo, and then the retinoic acid was another 6 months, and then just in and out of coming and visiting the doctor and whatnot. So it was about 1.5 years. When Molly was sick, I prayed every day, please let Molly be a survivor. We saw so many kids in the hospital that didn't survive. I mean, neuroblastoma is one of those cancers. Either you have good neuroblastoma or bad neuroblastoma. And 75% of the kids have bad neuroblastoma. They're diagnosed when it's advanced. And of those kids, maybe 30% survive. So Molly was given like a 30% chance to survive at the beginning. As she progressed in her chemo, her cancer responded really well to the treatment. They upped her odds. But regardless, I just decided and made a pact with God that if she survives, we will give back. Looking for late effects for cancer treatment. And Molly, I came across this group. I came across a listserv called ACOR, and it was the NBLAST listserv. And Molly and I decided to go down to Chicago to go to a neuroblastoma conference. And there we met this pack of friends, and they were all wearing the yellow ALSF Lemonade Stand t-shirts. And I said, what's ALSF Lemonade Stand? Well, it was the first year of ALSF Lemonade Stand that year that Molly and I went. So we didn't get involved that year, but we decided to do it the following year. We had the benefit of actually Molly benefiting from something that ALSF Lemonade Stand did. And just this past August, we went to their symposium for childhood cancer. And Molly, being a survivor, was able to go to a teen group and talk about teen issues and learning issues and whatnot for childhood cancer. And it was really, really helpful to Molly because they met with this neuropsychologist that she really identified with. And she gave them ideas on like schoolwork and whatnot. It was great. She met like 10 other survivors that were her age and realized how fortunate she was that she has just really no outward side effects. It really makes her realize how lucky she is. The Scotts also sent us, which is very interesting, a running lemon suit. So we will be using the running lemon suit in October. We're doing the Monster Dash, all of my running friends, and we will be running lemons. We met some really nice friends when we were down there from Minnesota, and they had a little boy named Carl Robinson, and Carl was very sick with neuroblastoma. And we met them at Mall of America in September of that year. So we met him in August, we went in September, and we went to an event with him at Mall of America. And Kelly looked at me, and we could tell Carl was really, they knew probably that he was at the end of his life, but they had one wish, and they said, we want next year to have Alex's Lemonade Stand here at Mall of America because it's Carl's favorite place. She said, you can get this done, can't you? And I was like, well, I've never done a fundraiser before, but I'll see what I can do. We set up our first Alex's Lemonade Stand the following year. Carl didn't survive, though. Carl passed away in November. So Kelly and their whole troops came at our first stand there, and they set up Carl's Commandos, and they all wore orange shirts, and they had a lemonade stand. And that was our first stand, and we've done it every year since then, 8 times at Mall of America. And then last 2 years we've done the Lemon Run. And we've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for Alex's and for other childhood cancer research.
Involved through actual dancing.
Dance for Life thing, which is also for childhood cancer, neuroblastoma. That's kind of where everything got started. I learned about it through that. I did that, I think, in 9th grade for confirmation.
And then I also got involved through Molly, probably, I want to say at least 4 years back.
The next following 3 years in high school, I went to Alex's Lemonade Stand.
I decided to get involved just because I thought the story was truly inspirational.
Dance for Life, when we started, which was our confirmation project, it was something I'd never heard about. I mean, I know that there's cancer, and I know that I usually thought it was in adults. I never even thought twice that, like, a 13-month-old child could have cancer.
It's just really cool to see how Molly's involved in doing more and more expectations. She wants to do this, which is really cool that she's able to see it.
Molly's has been such a great friend. I know her family put so much effort into putting this on, this whole event.
There was no way that I wasn't going to continue to be involved.
That was a really good session.
I just really enjoy it. It's important to me because it's one person's story, but it connects to so many different people. The fact that it can touch me, and then if I spread the story, it can touch others. We can all conquer this battle together.
It's something that kind of gets you, and you want to stay involved, and it just becomes a kind of a way of life that you're involved with every year.
We did a lot of work contacting other families for interviews and stuff, and asking them questions about their personal stories.
We put baskets together, we get donations from various companies.
We went around MOA, Mall of America, and contacted stores to get, information or if they had any donations for us.
We had to start out by getting silent auction items, which was going around to our sphere of influence, as Mary would call it, kind of see what we could get for people to donate.
We did a lot of work for the Lemon Run, making signs, organizing the entire event, putting together the name tags and the files for each runner.
When you run the actual lemonade stand and the Lemon Run now, which we started, you're just talking to people, kind of informing them, and kind of letting other people know what's up and why you're doing this.
Just being able able to tell Axel's story was a big part of it too. Not even getting donations, just
Yeah.
being able to tell people what it is. A lot of people don't know what it is.
It's a sad picture, the final blow.
I had such a good experience, and I'm so glad that I did it.
I think it's just something that I want to keep doing.
I feel as if I've gotten really connected through it. You know, I've been doing it now for at least 4 years.
And it's the kind of thing where you want to make sure that you get there. And it just becomes so important to you, and you become so involved with the hallways and all the other families that you meet that have kids that have either survived the cancer or haven't, unfortunately, survived. And they're all so amazing, and they come back every year to do this.
It's cool to be able to be involved with Mary and Molly. They really are so upbeat, and it, as horrible a thing as it is, they make it really happy and really like powerful and motivational for a lot of other kids too.
It is something to look forward to in the spring, and I know that I'll probably be helping for a long time now.
I hope I can stay involved for a long time.
Yeah, and I plan to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that I can volunteer the rest of college and continue to do it as long as they do with them, because it's so fun.
Absolutely. I would help anyone just because it's such a great cause and it's such a good program.
Bringing awareness to childhood cancer is always a good thing, because then people realize kind of what things that are happening, especially in the Children's Oncology, and that would hopefully then bring donors in to donate money towards research for childhood cancer.
It doesn't take a lot to get involved. One is awareness, and helping spread awareness so that we have more people that will get involved and help donate and participate.
I would say be involved however you feel comfortable. So if you're a runner and you'd be part of the lemon run, be part of the lemon run. If you can have time to make it to the Mall of America.
I would encourage people to look for Alex's Lemonade Stand events. They can simply hold a lemonade stand. Alex's Lemonade Stand is one of the easiest ones to get involved with. There are walks, there are runs, all different types of events. The easiest way is to Google Alex's Lemonade Stand and find something in your local area.
Others can get involved simply by holding their own lemonade stand. You can hold a lemonade stand any time of the year, whenever you want. I mean, just donate money and just let us know. And it's so easy to help.
Well, you can get involved in Minnesota by contacting us and going to our Facebook page and see information about our stand next year, the Minnesota Lemonade Stand. Otherwise, Alex's Lemonade Stand is a national organization, and they have a website, and on their website they have a zillion suggestions. You can have an event at your school, you can have an event in your front yard, you can have an event at anywhere you want. You can hold a lemonade stand. They are really supportive. They will send you t-shirts, they'll send you lemonade supplies, they'll send you coupons for lemonade, and all they ask is that you send the money to them when you're done.
Others can get involved by signing up for the run, because that's been something that's been really growing. Stopping by the stands, spreading the word about it.
Signing up for the lemon run, donating to the stand, to the website.
The hallways have a lot of websites. There's a Facebook page for it. There's an actual website for Molly, where you can learn her story and about what they do for the Alex's Lemonade Stand.
Social networking is huge. So even posting it on your Facebook page is helping a little bit, because then all your friends know about it.
If you have an idea for anything, I think that helps a lot.
It's as easy as that. If you send Mary a Facebook message, she will be so happy and get back to you. And you can do whatever you feel like doing. You would be happy to have more people